النتلاي أنقولها ما قاعد سوكر سودي جلسة ما أنت سوكر ولا عقلنا يدارو سكن اللي يقول سكن اللي يقول ورنتون بيكتبني كل فرني كل كقول نبايكا بيكونوا فرني بيكونوا كقول كل فرني كل كقول سكن كقول نقول نفرني أنا كوجي خيجرا أنت كفقول سميدور الأرجي كأسني هل فولا ثنا الفولو يا قول هل الخندق الفرني
Across Africa, from west to east, there is a belt of semi-desert. In this belt, the only way to convert the meager vegetation into food for humans is through the herding of animals. In the driest areas, the one domestic animal which can survive is the camel. Camels alone can eat the thorn bushes and turn them into milk and meat. The northern half of Kenya lies within this belt. Between Lake Turkana to the west and the Somali to the east live a group of camel nomads called the Rendille. Rendille country extends over 10,000 square miles of desert scrub. The 15,000 Rendille grow no crops. They keep sheep and goats, and above all camels, and they move their villages and their camel herds back and forth over the whole area. There are 100 or so villages, and each one moves to a new site about 6 times a year. A village is called after the leading family which lives there. This village is called Rendille village. Rendille is the head of the senior family. As such, he is the highest-ranking person among the Rendille people. But the Rendille have no system of chiefs or kings, in fact no centralized authority. Rendille has 2 wives, each with her own house and family. Nankuta is his eldest daughter. She's about to be married to the man who has been her friend and lover for the last 19 years. The women of the village prepare the jewelry and the household goods she will need later as a wife. She's 35 years old, and her husband-to-be is 41. Among the Rendille, marriage is late for men, and for some women as well, because one generation of men are not allowed to marry and settle down in the villages until the next generation are old enough to take over the responsibilities and hardships of herding the camels. It's an arduous job that Rendille explain can only be done by young, fit men with no domestic ties. So each generation must serve for 14 years as warrior herdsmen. And during this time, they're not allowed to marry or have children. Camel's milk is the staple food of the Rendille, so every village must keep behind enough female camels to provide its members with milk. The villages, together with these milking camels, move several times a year, but the bulk of the herds are continuously on the move. Camels exhaust the vegetation in any one area very quickly, so the young men must take the main herds away to wherever they can find sufficient grazing for them. They drive the camels from one area to the next, often 100 or even 200 miles away from where their village is settled. Galgombe is the nephew of Wambili, and he's the leading spokesman for the young men of his clan.
Into de bichenyo go bitud dubin inti da selageja uya khola kijiran baalir tayaha ki chula habtula kaya khailam yicho khailam khamasiya gala tumman kul sunko lota idimanda darga idi sunka gal fidiya la murera anyanya dakkan munya ko khabigel.
In the camel camps, the young men and boys sleep out in the open, guarding the camels. There are no houses because they have to move camps so often. Besides, building houses is women's work, and women aren't allowed in the camel camps. Rendille society, like all others, is characterized by a division of labor, which makes each specialized section dependent on the others. In Rendille, the sections are divided in terms of age and sex. For example, while the young men herd the camels, it's mainly the young women who look after the sheep and goats. Back in the main villages live the elders, their wives and children. Elders are married men who have completed their time as herdsmen. Every morning and every evening they meet together. They congregate in the center of the village in an enclosure called Nabo. Nabo is the political hub of the village, where the elders discuss and take decisions about the administration of the community and its herds. It's also in Nabo that the elders pray together in the morning and in the evening. A few of the younger Rendille have become Christians or Muslims, but most still pray to the Rendille god, Waha.
Masayayo, Bariteño, Orforto, Belveni, Imarica, Mariso, Belveni, Leata, Yahuti, Arati, Gitanti, Rego Golo, Helico, Rufcomeri, Variegela, Simili, Tate, Most, Halula, Village, Amarsani, Veti, Rescovi, Nagunici, Ulamanda, Ulamanda, Ulami, Sayo, Chibun, Nagunici, Andi, Sotamo, Irani, Anavana, Zora, Grebe, Sare.
In the camel camps, it's the boys who do the domestic chores, such as fumigating the milk containers. The camels are milked every morning and every evening, in the main villages and in the camel camps. This is always men's work. Women should never touch the udder of a camel. A camel will give about 6 pints of milk a day. Although if the country is very dry and there isn't adequate vegetation, she'll give much less. And she will continue to give milk for up to 3 years after giving birth.
رتبة دخل زوات كل لا لكينا ده توكل ده أرجور ده توكل ده يليدي إتا يلكتو خاي توكل على بيسوم سر إتا عندي كوراري أصله يقبوجا دركين يرا دخان بيسا ما عندي جبوري عين بكون نتيس لكسي ما عندي جنكلي عين لا إبا أفكا إلا لا مثل سي
Ya, itu dari Jakarta. Anggun. Kalau dia mau gundir tani. Anggun dong itu dia kan.
In the camps, the herdsman's food consists of camel's milk and blood and nothing else.
Ani kan farko kasih soal ada kan. Kalau ini lah. Ini walau. Guys.
They sit down to 2 meals a day, once in the morning and once at night. The herdsmen drink about 8 pints of milk a day. This provides them with all the nourishment and liquid they need. And it means that if necessary, they can survive many days without water.
Bala il casse se mi kilo fuori che non ti vicchia le agoja. Tomoni che ute va tu li atu arono e tu che giro vicchia ma le abbi. E dentro le guru, monto guru la kana lota. Auto dona. Vicchia la mala khabo. Orra ala la tu mai saada arreja tomoni che la mat katta kai to kal foitin nida.
The herdsmen and boys seldom stay in any camp for more than a week, because the camels exhaust the available bushes and because the men prefer a clean campsite. Twice a month they have to take the camels to water. There are few water points in Rendille country, and they are often far away from the grazing. The round trip from the grazing area to the water and back may take as long as 6 days. When camels do reach water, their drinking capacity is enormous. At a single drinking session, they can drink a third of their total body weight. This is the main reason they only need to take water every 15 days. The main villages are less mobile than the young herdsmen and their camels. The houses have to be transported, and the weaker members of the community, the very young and the very old, always stay with the villages. But water and grazing are so unpredictable in Rendille country that even the villages have to move several times a year.
العالم اللي يقوله ما عندي اللي يقول لي تصدق بقوله ما انتو بيتشلوايا ما انتو يا خلوايا ويحولا يا خلوايا نلقى عرب لافوفا لصو كل ما دور دخل بين صورنا انت سيا خبطا حول وحوش يا خان خباني كحين تاس يقول دودو انت ورك دير تحي انت بيتشميدوه
The decision to move is taken by the elders. They congregate in their central meeting place, Nabo, to decide where they want to move to.
قال خلخلة تانجير تملي في لحظة ساعة يقول عن ديدوجي عند حقوقه شيء تقول تقرقلو
يقول أنا كلي شوفي أخين كاتقول كلي ما نسال حولي تاني
سالو جبل مرة قال لي بمقري يمكن تو ياخذ اللي يجي بالما
Wambili chairs the discussion, but has no formal authority. Debates continue until a decision is found which all are happy with.
اللبن طرو جاي واحد لقوم ملء قال لي دينك تسوق له إنه راح بامه له الرجال إنه دينك ده أنكي فوفه ناسكا الله جلاب مرزا دني بانه جلاب مرزا جورا روح كايا خن ناسكا تكتيرين كان لو بدأ هنگ سو يرى لمن دي دور جيلا
ما بلي إنت كنا
كشما درين دول سوق سوالا فيا عكب دا كجيلا جاي جاي لك جاي عرمي
اعتماد إنت
جاي عرمي
اعتماد إنت فرته قال ده داري من ينتقل عليه فوق بال دلوا دخل باليه فوق
يدي لك عادي أدب بص ما أنتو تلو اللي في تلو عليه فوق
أنت لك عليه فوق من نادر
الماء
أنت ما تدري دابت وارو سوق كسر دابت
لكن كوي كبرت
أنت كلين دتولو لك هين كمان تقولي للعبت دابت وارو سوق السوق قال دركي قال لا كلابت
Eventually, a consensus was reached that in 2 days' time they would move the village a few miles to the north, beyond the rocks behind them. On a day when the village is moving, the women get up at dawn, dismantle the houses, and pack them on the carrying camels. A Rendille house and all its contents can be packed onto 2 or 3 camels. In the last 8 years, the rains have almost completely failed. The Rendille say it's been the worst drought since the 1880s. As a result, many camels have died. Wambili village used to have a total herd of 2,000. Now they have just over 800. So today, whenever they move more than a few miles, they have to borrow carrying camels from a nearby village. On this occasion, they were only moving a short distance, so the women carried some of the sticks and mats themselves.
Mandala melderi ni mele intaronga lagla banni intarongo tanni lele intar luwon ko hololota dedi chele inda
جنتي ما لاقلي لابتا
jentiti ye galudu uranke jibo uduranke jibo udaha galuranke jibo la isola chilimele hine rento nyakahan ni chulgeso yirgo dabbaso le يرجع ما دام نشوف درك قصو نشوف راسه درك يندي دال قدونا يندي درك ودعي في الله
Among the Rendille, an order of precedence ranks each family from the first to the last. In the villages, the houses are arranged in a circle according to this order. The first and last families face each other at the entrance to the village. It's the women's job to rebuild the houses, while the men cut thorn bushes to fence in the animals. The women own the houses, and if a man has more than one wife, each wife will have her own house. All the houses have the same basic design, but each house is made larger or smaller depending on the number of people who live in it. Nearly everything the Rendille use is found in the area they live in. The timber frames for the houses are cut from trees which only grow in the dry river beds. The fibres from which they make ropes and roof mats are cut from special plants which grow up in the mountains. And there's long been a caste of blacksmiths who smelt ore for iron and make spears, axes and metal for their jewellery. They have few superfluous possessions, and every object has its place in the house. There are camel milking vessels, milk containers, containers for fat, skirts, jewellery, bags for herbs, and the big water containers. Kenya is a fast-developing country, and the Rendille way of life appears an anachronism to other Kenyans as well as to many outsiders. And only exploit most of their land by being camel nomads. It's just too dry to be able to grow anything, and although they do keep sheep and goats, suitable grazing for them is limited. Like all nomads, the Rendille find it difficult to take advantage of the government schools and hospitals in their region. Today, fathers may be happy to send one or two of their sons to school, but only if they have other sons at home to herd the camels.
شجورة العوي عن طول عقب طور عاني يجاك طور يا أخي كدخنا تطور عوسي دخن كيته طور ما أنت أنتي يا أخي تو بيجي جيران انت والراحة نيجوكا يدو سوريو طبعا تنطلق الجنة ما انت سبر باجلا دي سوركتا
The Sorio blessings take place 4 times a year, and every man and all the camels should go home for them. Rendille herdsmen, that is all the young men in the prime of their lives, are absent from the villages and the mainstream of society for most of the year. A most important aspect of the Sorio ceremonies is the insistence on their return and the reuniting of the herds. No family can perform Sorio if any of the camels are away or if the eldest son is absent. Sorio brings together the generations. Galgombe and his uncle Wambile prepare a goat for sacrifice. Each house is blessed with camel's milk, which is then given to the goat to drink. The death of the goat will create a link between God and the people. Rendille say they pray to God through the goat, and they would be ashamed to send a hungry animal to him. No woman may be present at the sacrifice. Each man carries a walking stick and a Sorio stick, a ceremonial stick. He blesses himself by rubbing the sticks over the goat's back. The blessings will flow back from God as the goat leaves the material world of men and animals. The young men pick up a mixture of blood and earth with which to anoint the family camel. Camels are more than just the means of survival for the Rendille. While they exchange sheep and goats for other goods, they would never sell a camel or slaughter a female one for meat. They are too important in other aspects of their life. A man cannot marry without camels to present to his bride's family. Moreover, camels form the basis of a system of gifts and loans which link men of different families across the whole Rendille country. The sharing of camels provides the social cement which ties together the unrelated families of a people who have no central government. When a man surveys his herd, only about 1/4 of the camels bear his own brand. The others, shared animals, bear the brands of their original owner's family. Men ask camels from each other on special occasions like Sorio or before their marriage. The system works to the advantage of the giver as well as the receiver, for the giver retains rights in the offspring of any camel he lends. Female camels are capable of giving birth to 6 or 7 calves. The original owner can demand the return of one of her offspring if the need arises. Debts of this kind survive indefinitely. A man can ask for the return of an animal lent by his family some 10 or more generations ago. Even if a borrowed camel or her offspring is subsequently relent to a 3rd, 4th or 5th party, the descendants of the original owner have a right to claim their property. These complicated networks of loans and debts provide a chain of mutual insurance for everybody. Herding even camels is precarious in this country. An individual's camels may be decimated by disease or local drought or lost in raids. The victim of disaster can gradually build up his herd again by slowly calling in his debts and the debts of his ancestors. On this particular Sorio, Galgombe was preparing for his own wedding. So he took the opportunity to ask his uncle Wambile for a camel, which he himself would later pass on as part of his marriage gift to his bride's family. As a comparatively rich man, Wambile was more or less bound to agree, but it was a delicate, embarrassing transaction for both of them.
itu hal la mail kal wa kal le go
وزولا كتروا آخر سودي بقوم.
وعمالين دينام بله بقولي عمالين دينام بله بقولي.
Galmalo, Wambile's eldest son, will inherit from him, so he has an interest in seeing that Wambile doesn't give away the best camels.
وبستناه درجة.
ini jangan selalu mereka mereka wala tak itu hada wala ma ada ni
itu ada
mana lah
ini dah tahu ada orang gudan itu orang gudan mana ni rakan nang itu phone kita je tentu ada ya sima simi di sini tarang tu lah tunggu
ini juga dana itu orang
sini tarang tu lah tidak umumnya
orang itu ini juga dana apa nanti ada
The young men complete the Sorio celebration by dancing together in the center of the village. This particular generation of warriors is nearing the end of their service as herdsmen. For the past 14 years, they have spent most of their time away from their families and far from their girlfriends. Women aren't allowed to stay in the camel camps, so the young men only see their girlfriends when they bring the camels back to the villages. But soon these men will attend a special ceremony, after which they can settle down and marry. In fact, in the following 12 months, all these men will marry. The ceremony is called after the elders' meeting place, Nabo.
Adona rongo ragedi dere kuchinne midironga kucha ronga kuche kola adona hola koiwe chila ka hola kale do kola ihar kola anama qablo ndona.
The Nabo ceremony takes place on a lava plateau, strewn with old volcanic rocks. The men construct a two-dimensional village out of the stones. They begin with the elders' central meeting place, Nabo. The ceremony marks their acquisition of full political rights as elders. They build fences large enough to enclose themselves and the camels they have brought with them. Each man then builds a house out of the stones to symbolize the domestic change in his life that elderhood will bring. Building houses is women's work, except in this one ritual context, and the men are embarrassed at doing it. Soon after the ceremony they will marry, their wives will build their real houses, and they will settle down as family men. Each man then selects two special stones, a slender, cylindrical one to represent his wife, and a smaller, rounder one to represent his child. A piece of cactus is set up at the back of the house where the women keep their milk containers. Cactus oozes a milky sap in the driest conditions, and it represents the hope that the camels and the women will produce milk and be fertile in even the harshest drought. Each man has brought a goat. Later in the evening, he will offer it in sacrifice and then eat it himself. A horn is blown to call the camels to the village of stones. The men anoint themselves with camel's milk before they sacrifice their goats. Galgumbe and all the other participants celebrate the domestic life they are about to enter upon by feeding their symbolic families. Galgumbe and his generation will happily settle down as elders in the villages. But they may have difficulty in persuading their own sons that the hardships of herding camels and life in Nabo have as much to offer them as the opportunities represented by the city life of Nairobi.
جيرتي أنا قابلتي رنديل رنك ذاك من دي ستجيرتو
تجي العادي صحيح الرون كذلك من دي ساي حول حيس مجون دخمي ناخد وخسي تحول خبو ترمين كور دي ساي حول حاس إني يطال خودستي حول لقطة حول عقته أخبه صارين أنتو دي ساي ناخديش لك الله درجة جرت حق درجة أخبه إتاس إتولا وعقله البقة ومخبو كل لك وحور وسيطوق اللي يكسوخات وانخبه درجة إيد نيتاون السرور بعدين دول ليلة
كيس جلها درجة كي يحول اسمه جون تبع نياخد اسمه جون تبع
حول خبو
يترى ولا كي يلدخن بخبو
خبو ولا على خبو العتوم من يبوت